Dr. S. Bhagavantam, Indian nuclear physicist, Vice Chancellor of the Osmania University in Hyderabad, ex-director of the Indian Science Institute, ex-scientific advisor of the Indian Ministry of Defense, ex-president of the Committee of Science and Technology for Developing Countries.
Oh, at the beginning, Baba himself knew that I was a part skeptic. I was a scientist. I was asking many questions. I met Baba more than 20 years ago at a time when I was at the height of my scientific career and scientific achievement. Naturally, Baba knew that I was questioning and I was asking myself, what is all this? How does he do it? And in those days, there were not so many people coming round Baba. It was easy to get near him. The first time I came to this ashram, perhaps in the whole ashram there were only 100 people. And today you will find a few thousand people. So Baba was very kind to take me near him, and he did so many miracles that miracle after miracle began to be shown to me, and I started asking myself, either I find a scientific explanation for these miracles, or I give up and say, this is impossible to find scientific explanation, and Baba is divine and is beyond science, and I accept it as a matter of fact. So, in the beginning, when he started manifesting material, the first shock which I had was when he produced a printed text of an Indian scripture by name Bhagavad Gita, when we were sitting on the sands of the river Chitravati, which is close by to the ashram. Sometime in the evening, we went on the riverbed, he took me, and we sat on the riverbed, and he made me talk about science and about the great American scientist Oppenheimer, who discovered the first nuclear weapon, nuclear bomb. And while talking, somehow I brought into the conversation the Indian scripture, Bhagavad Gita, from which Oppenheimer is said to have quoted a verse at the time when the first explosion took place in New Mexico. Then Bhagavan said, will you have a text of Bhagavad Gita from me? I said, of course, I shall be delighted to have one. He took a handful of sand from the riverbed. He asked me to hold out my own hand, and he put the sand into my hand. And lo and behold, the sand turned into a printed text of Bhagavad Gita. This was the first shocking miracle, if I may use that word, which I saw. And very nearly that was the turning point, because it was impossible for me to find an explanation for what I had seen with my own eyes. I came to the conclusion that Baba's miracles are beyond science. Science cannot explain Baba's miracles in the language in which it is used to, and I must accept him as divinity who is quite above and beyond scientific explanations and scientific logic.
Following this interview, Bhagavantam, but only after we insisted, shows what he has perhaps never shown before, the famous Bhagavad Gita, which Sai Baba materialized for him on the banks of the river Chitravati.
Since you have raised the question of science, I would first like to state that science has its limitations. Science is not omnipotent. Science cannot claim to explain and deal with everything in the creation. There are certain things which science can explain, because science deals with material creation, matter. Science studies the properties of matter and of creation with the help of our 5 senses: the sense of vision, the sense of smell, the sense of touch, the sense of taste, and so on. Now, there are so many things in this world which are beyond these senses. Take, for example, love, or hate, or compassion, or love of a father to a son, liking, disliking. These things do not come under science. They cannot be measured with your eye, they cannot be sensed with your nose, they cannot be heard with your ear. So, science has its limitations. Miracles which Baba does quite in large number, which you may have seen, they do not lend themselves to treatment by the method and by the knowledge and by the logic which the scientist has developed essentially for studying the material world. The miracles are beyond the material world. Oh, that is a million-dollar question, as the Americans would call it. Many have asked this question before. I have asked the question myself. And as a result of my long contact with him, extending over 20 years, and as a result of very close and critical examination of all that he does, all that he did to me and to others, I have come to the conclusion, in accordance with the Indian tradition, that God, who normally is unseen and unmanifested, although omnipresent, can occasionally take the decision to appear in human form amongst the people, as we had such examples in Rama and Krishna of Indian mythology and of Jesus Christ of Western incidents. We have here in Baba God appearing in human form, talking to us, moving amongst us and helping us and healing us and showing his infinite love and compassion to the entire human sect without any reference to caste, creed or color and one thing and another. There are so many people in the world. Why should Ravi Shankar alone have this gift? This is God's grace to him. The bliss and happiness which comes through music, that does not come through anything else. Complete life, complete untadi. Ee padarthalu oka magic mani kaadu. He tells him that this is not like a transient magic, but these things were created, they last for a whole lifetime. Each one to have it round his neck or in his pocket. The music ద్వారా ఎంతవరకు నేను దాని ఇతరుల హృదయాన్ని చాలా ప్రశాంతపరచవచ్చు. భగవంతుడే సంగీత ప్రియుడు. Through music you can give a lot of peace and happiness to a large number of people. In fact, God himself, he likes music.
One evening, Baba invited Indra Devi and other devotees to go with him to a dry riverbed near Vrindavan, where Swami promised to discourse on divine creation and demonstrate his power to transform the sand into beautiful material objects.
Light. This is Manimala. 108.
Oh, look.
Pachalu, Mutyalu, Ratnalu.
Emerald, pearls and diamonds.
This side.
How does this come from this riverbed?
Yes. That's Sankalpa.
Has to come the same way the universe was created.
అతనే యూనివర్స్ క్రియేట్ చేసే దైవత్వము అనే ఇది మీకు వండర్.
This causes wonder to you, but to me, they are just my nature.
ఇట్స్ డ్రాయింగ్. దాని ద్వారా ఒక విధమైనటువంటి అవకాశాన్ని కూడా
Through such manifestations, it is possible to pass on and to give the feeling for divinity and develop faith in divinity.
This lion eyes.
What is the deepest spiritual significance of these manifestations?
దైవత్వము అనేటువంటిది.
The answer is to say that God's power exceeds every other power in this universe is to create
దానికి
faith in you.
కాలం కానీ ప్లేస్ కానీ అతీతమైనటువంటిది.
God's power exceeds time and place and is not subject to time and place. That in this country, from time immemorial, many major religions of the world have coexisted
and they all lived very well, and there were no religious wars at all. This we should have used, and this is a feature which I am glad you have noticed. I think it is very strongly present in all the Indian minds. Several people told me that he has superhuman divine qualities, but it took me quite a lot of personal struggle and introspection before I could realize that he has divine qualities.
Sairam, we are here at Prasanthi Nilayam, Puttaparthi, South India, with some very distinguished guests. To my immediate left is Dr. S. Bhagavantam, eminent scientist, physicist, a translator for Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, also a trustee for the Sathya Sai Central Trust. To his left, Mr. Howard Murphet from Australia, author of 2 books on the life of Sathya Sai Baba, Sai Baba, Man of Miracles, and Sai Baba, Avatar. To his left, Mr. Larry Smith from the University of San Diego. He's a director on the Council of America's Sathya Sai Baba organization. And to his left, Dr. Sam Sandweiss, author of the book Sai Baba, Holy Man and the Psychiatrist. He's also a director on the Council of the Americas. And from San Francisco, Mr. Don Heath, also a director of the Council of the Americas. Dr. Bhagavantam, if we could start with you, you could tell us a little bit of how and when you came to Sri Sathya Sai Baba.
I came to Sathya Sai Baba now 20 years ago, so that it's more archaeology rather than history. And I came to him at a time when I was very active in my scientific career, more with the curiosity to know what Sathya Sai Baba is, what he does, and can we have a rational explanation for Sathya Sai Baba's actions. This was the motivation with which I first came to Sathya Sai Baba 20 years ago. But I must hasten to say that things have changed so much since then that I am no longer foolish to ask such questions. I have had many opportunities of finding my own answers to these questions, and Sathya Sai Baba has been most generous in the early years when I had doubts to go out of his way to clear all those doubts. Now I have no doubts and he does not try to clear those doubts. That is the present position.
In the 20 years that you've been with Sai Baba, can you describe some of the changes in your life?
In my life, I look back and I cannot recognize what I was. There's so much change. I came to Sathya Sai Baba as a very proud man, as a scientist who believed that there is nothing in this world which science cannot explain, and there is no room for God at all in this world, and that men can manage their own affairs. In a way, I was a very conceited person, very proud of various things, of my scientific knowledge, of my ability to speak and expound in the English language, and so on, many things. Today, I have come to learn that my knowledge of science is nothing. My knowledge of English is nothing. And in fact, all my abilities of which I was proud of have left me, and I am a much better, much saner and more humble person today. This is the biggest change which has come in me.
Being a scientist, the gap between objective knowledge as accumulated by science and the miracles of Sathya Sai Baba must have posed some kind of difficulty for you. How did you bridge that gap?
Indeed, science has done many great things, has done several things, but it deals with the world, with the material world, and in dealing with the material world, it uses our five senses, the sense of vision, the sense of hearing, the sense of touch. These are the five senses that we use in understanding the material world with the help of science. True, we have discovered many instruments which help these senses. Ultimately, we must use our eye, we must use our ear, we must use our touch. Whereas, in matters that interest Sathya Sai Baba, the material world is of no importance at all. It takes a secondary place. In fact, he plays it down so much that gradually I learned that the importance we give to the material world is not of any significance. There is something beyond the material world. Therefore, there is something beyond science which we should know and understand if we really want to know what the nature of human life is and what this world consists of in essence.
Bhagavantam, you are also a translator for Sri Sathya Sai Baba. In your experience in translating for Baba, could you tell us maybe some small stories relating his grasp of various languages and your own?
Well, I have had some of the most shattering moments while translating Baba. As I told you, I used to feel quite proud of my knowledge of the English language, whereas perhaps all of you sitting here know that Baba's schooling has been practically nil. He has not even reached the high school stage, and as we commonly understand, he has not learnt English at all. And when I stand next to him on the platform, I can notice that he is working out his own speech. He is carefully following my translation to see if that is correct, not only correct, if that is apt. In addition to that, he is ever ready to supply a word or a sentence if I am not able to get it at the right time. There have been many instances where I wondered how and where from does Baba get this knowledge of the English language. He has not been in a school. Now this is one of the most difficult things for any scientist to explain. Here is a man who has not gone to school, who is giving a discourse in a language other than English. Here I am with 40 years of experience of speaking English, teaching in English, translating, and making a mistake and being corrected immediately on the spot by Baba and giving me the correct word in English language. Now this transcends all scientific explanation and rational thought.
There have been stories of Baba talking to various devotees in various world languages. Can you relate any of these stories to us firsthand?
Yes, there are many. I could perhaps, just to save time, pick up one or two. Many years ago, perhaps 15 years now, I had the pleasure of ushering in a Japanese geologist into Baba's room. He knew very little English. He could speak only Japanese and some broken words in English. He was a colleague of mine. He was teaching geology for a short while in one of the universities in India. He went in to see Baba. Baba didn't want any of us inside for interpreting, and they were both closed for half an hour. What Baba spoke to him, in what language, I do not know. But this Japanese, when he came out, he was in tears. And I asked him, what is it? What has happened? And the man would simply break down and say, please leave me alone. I will talk to you later. And Baba has told me something about my life which I thought that even my wife does not know. This was something which only my mother knew, what happened to me when I was a young baby. And later I learned from him that he was what is called a blue baby. That is, he was born prematurely and he had a weak heart. This his family members do not know. His mother knew it because she brought up the blue baby. And Baba told him this story, told him in what language, I do not know. And he gave this Japanese professor a small locket which was looking like the human heart with Baba's picture on it and said, you still have a weak heart. Nobody knows this except your mother. You better wear this locket on you, near your heart, and you will be well, you will be protected. This man with tears narrated this story to me and said that Baba spoke to him in his own language, and he was very grateful that he has given him protection from this weak heart. This is one instance of where surely the communication must have been in some language other than English. And when I asked Baba later how he spoke to this Japanese, it was a characteristic reply that he said, oh, you need a language. I don't need a language. I speak from my heart to his heart. I don't need a language. My speech is from heart to heart. You people need a language. This was, be that as it may, a more recent incident I would like to mention here. This was when the wife of the President of Mexico visited us here in Prasanthi Nilayam. She came to Delhi and she made very special arrangements. She was a guest of the Indian government and she came to Bangalore and she drove to Prasanthi Nilayam with a view to have an audience with Baba. I had early information and I was waiting to interpret, if necessary, between Baba and this lady who was the wife of the President of Mexico. She did not know a word of English. She brought with her the Mexican ambassador in India to be able to help smoothen out things and translate and so on. I quickly learned that the ambassador does not know much English. And the lady did not know any English. The visit was arranged in Baba's room. And I told Baba that this lady is coming and she doesn't seem to know English. And she made a special request to me that in the room, besides Baba, she would not like anyone else other than herself, her ambassador, and me to be present, because she had some personal matters to put to Baba and ask for his grace. There were two daughters of hers with her. I had to ask her, does it mean that I have to keep your daughters also outside the room? She said, yes, please, if you can, don't allow my daughters also to come into the room. Now this was a tough task entrusted to me. Everybody was kept outside. I went in, this lady went in, and the ambassador was inside. And I was trying to go up to Baba's room to tell him what the position was. But within seconds, Baba came down the steps without giving me a chance to explain the position. And Baba quickly turned to the ambassador and asked him, can you speak English? The ambassador struggled and said, a little. Baba turned to this lady wife of the Mexican president and asked her, "Can you speak English?" These are the words used by Baba. She said, she repeated what the ambassador said a little. Baba turned to me and said, "Bhagavantam, you go out of the room, we don't need you now." I came out of the room and closed the door. The ambassador and this lady and Baba were in the room for 45 minutes. Surely one cannot spend 45 minutes without talking. What they spoke, in what language they spoke, I do not know. When the ambassador and the lady came out, I asked the ambassador, "May I ask if the madam is happy, if Baba has cleared her doubts?" The ambassador said, "Yes, exceedingly happy. She is very happy." And she also turned to me and she made some gestures and she said she was exceedingly happy. We saw them off. They left. I took the earliest opportunity that evening to ask Baba, "Swami, in what language did you speak to this lady? You were in the room for 45 minutes. He wouldn't answer that question. He said, "Oh, I spoke to her. I told her all about her troubles. I told her that she had an accident 5 years ago and that she is suffering from the consequences of that accident. I gave her some token, ring or whatever it is, and she was exceedingly happy." I repeated, "Swami, in what language did you speak to her?" He would not answer that question. I spoke to her. I told her everything about what she wanted. "Did you not ask her if she was happy? What reply did she give you?" I said, "Yes, Swami." She said she was exceedingly happy. "Obviously you spoke to her, but what I want to know is in what language did you speak to her?" Baba said, "Don't worry, I speak in the language of the heart. You need Spanish, you need English, I don't need a language." Well, there are many other instances, but I think we should give a chance to others to come into the picture.
Thank you, Dr. Bhagavantam.
It's a great pity, Dr. Sandweiss, that so many people go to a country like the United States and talk of transformation, talk of spiritual paths and give so much hope to several individuals. Ultimately, the hope to be simply shattered when you go into detail. In fact, Baba often mentions this, and I have had the courage to ask him, "Why don't you go to the United States? Because several people want you there, and you tell them that you will go next March. Why don't you do it?" His reply is, so many people who really are not of the same level as I am, or as a divine person should be, go there, and they give such a wrong picture that I don't want to get mixed up with all these people. The point I want to make is, he is very, very different. There is no comparison in whatever angle you look at between the so-called gurus and the so-called leaders who generally go outside India and who begin to pretend to teach spiritual path to many of the Westerners. I think, if you ask me, the greatest point has been made by Don when he said, so far as Sai Baba is concerned, his hand is always like that. Whereas every other guru, every other institution in India, you will find the hand is like this. I deliberately mentioned the trust in the beginning because even today, if someone wants to give out of his own free will some money for some good act, nothing can be done in this world without money. But Sai Baba is very clear. He says, yes, there is a trust. Give it to the trust. And they deal with the worldly matters. They run schools. They feed the poor children. Give it to the trust. And he owns nothing. He takes nothing. And it's impossible to give to Sai Baba as an individual any gift in any form. Try as you may. I have tried several times. Yes, if you press, if you are close to him, he will say, good, Bangaru, give it to the trust. And the trust will manage it, or will mismanage it. Whatever it is, the whole thing is on us and not on Baba. This you will not find in any other guru. He keeps on saying, I don't want dollars. All these chaps who are going to the United States, in the name of gurus, they are going there to collect dollars. I don't want to get mixed up. This is the main reason why he does not want to go to the United States at present. Of course, there are other things. If you wish me to say something about how Baba is different from others, I keep on telling the Indian groups to whom I talk quite often.
Excuse me, let's...
We were on the question which Dr. Sandweiss raised. How are we to make out what is real, what is not real, when many people come and talk of spiritual path, talk of transformation, talk of one miracle or another? Yes, that's a very good question, I said, because, and in fact the answer was given in very sharp terms by Don when he said, so far as Sathya Sai Baba is concerned, his hand is always turned upside down, whereas most other gurus have their hand turned so as to receive. Sathya Sai Baba always gives and never receives, whether it is a gift or whether it is grace or whether it is love, he gives, he never receives. Whereas gurus keep on asking and keep on getting various gifts from people who come to them. This is the biggest difference. And I was mentioning my own experience of asking Sathya Sai Baba why he does not go to the United States. He is quite knowledgeable of the fact that many people from the East go to Western countries and talk of spiritual path, and incidentally they only make money, they earn dollars. So Baba being very different, he says, I don't want to get mixed up with such people. It's likely that in their ignorance they will think that I am also one of them. So I don't want to go to a country where such confusion exists. I was trying to make out that there are many ways in which you can see the clear difference between Sathya Sai Baba and spiritual gurus. Whenever I talk to the Indian groups, I tell them it will be a good sadhana if each one of you can ask yourself the question, in your experience, in what way do you find Sathya Sai Baba to be different from others with whom you come in contact? I tell this to my young Indian friends. It will be a good introspection and sadhana if you ask this question, why have I come to Baba? Why do I stick with Baba? What is the difference between Baba and ABC, so many other gurus? India is full of various people who claim to do several things. What is the difference? Why do I stick here? If you make this self-analysis and introspection, it will be a good sadhana, and it will strengthen your own faith if you can get the right answers to this question. I tell my Indian friends to go through this process. I have gone through this process myself. The question of receiving or giving, in my opinion, is a very minor matter. There are at least half a dozen other instances where we can distinguish Sathya Sai Baba from all others. He never asks anyone to do something which he does not do himself. My life is my message. He never prescribes before he practices. I'm sure most of you know this, but some of us who are closely moving with him, see him in action morning till evening, we know that he never preaches unless he himself practices it. If he says, love thy neighbor, 1,000 people in India keep on saying, love thy neighbor. It's a very old statement coming from the time of Jesus Christ. But 999 people hate the neighbor in practice. Say, love your neighbor in preaching. You won't find it in Baba. When Baba says, love all human beings, he loves all human beings, in fact. And we know it, because those of us who are close to him see that he loves his worst enemy as well. By enemy I meant one who abuses him. As deeply and as well as he loves a devotee. I like to narrate an incident here in this connection. There used to be a newspaper in Bombay. I don't have to mention the name. The editor was particularly inimical to Baba. He did not believe in his divinity. Not only did he not believe in his divinity, he was writing slander. I don't know if that is the right English word. For instance, he made a statement in the newspaper that the food Baba eats is so rich that one meal is good enough to feed 20 hungry people. This was written in the newspaper in headlines. Well, I have my lunch and my dinner as long as I live here in Prasanthi Nilayam with Baba. And I know what he eats. I also know how rich is his food. At this age of mine, when I don't need food, much food, when I eat my lunch with Baba, I go starving. Because he eats so little, and when Baba is eating so little, you don't expect me to gulp too much food. In that context, when I see the headline in the newspaper that the food which Baba eats is so rich that it can feed 20 hungry people, this is a fantastic lie. He does not eat sweet. He does not touch butter. He does not touch curds. He does not take ghee. He doesn't touch sugar. He doesn't take milk. He doesn't take coffee. It's easier for me to tell you what he does not eat. He eats very little. Leave that. The same newspaper, the editor has written, Baba is always surrounded by women. Now, this is the biggest lie I have ever seen. I know that his own sister cannot enter the room. She stands outside until Baba comes out and speaks to her. She cannot enter his room. No woman can enter his room, because later I inquired and I found that one reason for this is somebody mistook Mr. Kasturi for a woman. The name Kasturi in India is a woman's name as also a man's name. It is used for both. Somebody mistook that to be the name of a woman. Be that as it may, the newspaper writes that Baba is always surrounded by women. Now, another fantastic lie. And so on, I will stop at that. The editor of this newspaper came to Bombay and wanted an interview with Baba. The word was taken to Baba by some of the volunteers. I was just standing by. And Baba said, yes, I'll probably see him, but let him come and sit along with all the 10,000 devotees in the pandal. And I pick up usually, I don't accept any such recommendations. I pick up people whom I wish to interview. And if I like, I will pick up this man as well. Let him go and sit there. The man was humble enough to go and sit with the crowd. I was watching the whole drama because I knew that this is the editor of the newspaper which wrote on the front pages that Baba's food is very rich and that Baba is always surrounded by women. My reaction was that Baba is just getting over a situation and he will probably not pick him up. Well, lo and behold, he picked him up. And after half hour, I got a message that Baba wants you urgently. I said, yes, I will go. And I went running to Baba's room and found that there were only two people in the room, that is Baba and this editor of this newspaper was inside. And Baba was talking and I was to translate to this man. He didn't know Telugu, he knew only English and some other North Indian language. I started translating, wondering within myself how Baba is so gracious, so loving and so generous to a man who I know has abused him and written fantastic lies about Baba. But it made no difference. Baba was exceedingly nice, spoke to him about his personal matters and gave him vibhuti and treated him, if I may use that word, in a royal red carpet manner. I was jealous, I was envious, I thought Baba never treats me so kindly and here is this man getting such a royal treatment. I was red in my face. But discipline required that I hide all my feelings. I translated and Baba gave him vibhuti and the man went out. Baba looked at me and said, Bhagavantam, why are you so angry? I said, Swami, I am not angry. What makes you think that I am angry? I thought I translated in the normal way. He said, no, I can see you. You are red in your face. You are very angry. I said, Swami, there is nothing which you do not mention. Now that you mention it, I have to accept that indeed I am very much upset that you leave out 10,000 devotees who are sitting there and you pick up this man who has written in the newspapers that you are always surrounded by women, he has slandered you, and you go out of your way and you pick him up and bring him into the room. And you add insult to the injury, you call me to translate all that you are going to tell me. Yes, I am very much upset. Of course, I am nobody to advise you. But if I had my way, I would throw out this man from the window. I would call 10 volunteers and kick him out of the window. I gave vent to all my venom. He smiles and says, yes, that is the difference between you and me. Yes, you are upset, I am not upset. You are angry, I am not angry. To me, whether he has abused me, or whether he has praised me, or whether he is my devotee, it makes no difference. That is the difference between you and me. You may go now. Now, I mention this to say that all of us repeat, love every human being, do good to one, particularly who harms you. This is the kind of preaching which we all say. I have heard hundreds and thousands of gurus in India say this. Not one of them can treat a person who has abused him, even a tenth of what that editor has abused Baba, in the manner in which Baba has treated him. This is a striking difference. There are many people here who speak ill of him. Some of them trickle. I mean, you would not know it. There are several Indians whom I know who talk ill of him, who don't believe in him, who do not think that he is divine. They come, and their past, some of us know that they are bad people. But to Baba, he is a human being. And in him there is God, as in me and as in you. No difference you can find when Baba showers love on him. In fact, we all feel upset. And when sometimes I ask him, when he permits me, Baba, you have shown so much generosity to him and you have done such grace to him, why is it? Not a tenth of it you show me. He says, Bhagavantam, he deserves it more. He wants it more. You don't need it. His need is more. Now look at that. This is the human side of Baba. You will not find another guru doing like this. I am leaving aside the small matters of money and so on. They really have no value at all. It is his compassion and it is his grace and it is his love under all circumstances that marks him out of all the gurus and all the spiritual paths. There are other things too, but I think this is the most outstanding feature. Love your enemy. He does it, he says it, and he practices it.